Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. I can't believe that I own an Olympos mystery dial watch. This thing is gorgeous, brilliant, absolutely amazing, and I didn't pay a ton for it. Tonight we're going to review it. Check out this gorgeous watch. Absolutely amazing. Now when I won this, you would think that I was watching sports or something and my favorite team just scored because I pretty much freaked out. Now the entire time the listing was active, I assumed that I was not going to win the auction because I had such a hard limit on the amount of money that I can spend, but crazy enough, I ended up winning it. Now the eBay store that I bought this from generally sells watch parts. So this came without a strap, it was just the watch head. It seems every now and then they'll get some watches in, but usually it's just components that watchmakers will use. So I have it on one of my Rios shell Cordovans because I had one handy. At some point I'll have to get it a really nice strap because this is one of my favorite watches that I own right now. Looking at the lugs, I absolutely love this crazy like hook shape. How it gets really thin here on both sides. That just looks really cool. And we see that these lugs here are a lot longer than the ones on the top. This case is in decent shape. There was actually kind of a deep scratch here, sort of. And I've actually been using Polywatch on the case, and it's really been helping with some of the more glaring scratches that are on there. I'm going to have to keep that in mind because polished cases will get little hairline scratches everywhere that just make them kind of look dull-ish. And it seems that Polywatch will actually take care of those really tiny scratches. But as you can tell, this is kind of a smudge magnet, and it's actually kind of a nightmare to wipe off to get rid of the smudges because there's all these little elements. You have to kind of get in between there. This bezel is pretty small and kind of have to use your fingertip to get it in there. But when it's on your wrist, it just looks great. Looking at the case back, we see that it's in pretty decent shape as well. It's brushed in the center here, and we have some text around the edge. Interesting scales at the top that I just now noticed. Very interesting. And look at the bottom of the case there, it kind of curves in. Super unique watch. Looking at it from the side, it looks amazingly thin because of that case design. Again, I love this here. How it looks super thin because of these notches. And then these points kind of come down toward your wrist, and you actually don't feel these at all. You would think that you would get poked with them, but I haven't noticed them at all. They just look really cool. So a part of the bulk is down below here, but the way these curve down, the watch wears super thin. The crown is pretty small. We see some branding on there. And honestly, winding this watch is a nightmare because it's kind of tucked into these guards here, part of the design. So you really can't get much of a turn out of it. Fortunately, this watch is an automatic. It took me a day or so to realize that because it is so quiet. I think I've only heard the rotor a couple times since I've been wearing it, and I've had it for a couple weeks now. It is absolutely silent. Popping the crown out, we see that it does not hack. And let's look at this mystery dial in action. That's pretty cool. Now this watch is running pretty fast. It's about 40 some seconds fast a day. And one thing to note is if you nudge the minutes hand back, because I didn't want to go all the way around to reset it when it was getting fast by a minute or so, I would just kind of move it back. But if you do that, I noticed that it would just kind of stop sometimes like it was dead. So if you are going to do something funky like that with these watches, you'd want to go way back and then kind of move it forward a bit to where you want it. So we want it here, pop this back in, and there we go. This crystal is great. It's a low boxed crystal, looks really sharp on this watch. And one interesting thing about this particular piece is you'll notice that there's a little mark on the case there, right there. And under a loop, right there, you can kind of see it. There's a little dot scratched into the crystal as well. So something hit this watch right along that line. Kind of interesting. There it is. A battle wound. And looking at the dial, look at that. That is just gorgeous. Very pull routery. In fact, when I created the eBay search that this showed up in, I was actually going for the black dial variant of this because it looks so much like a pull router. I had to get one. Hopefully one will show up at some point, but in the meantime, this one is just brilliant. The hands still have some lume in there. They haven't crusted off, but they don't work. That's fine. One irritating thing about this particular piece is somebody decided to completely ruin the mystery dial illusion by putting this on there. Text that says treasure shop. So I'm wondering if this might have been like a company gift or something weird. I'm not sure. But it's really sad because that ruins the whole mystery of the thing. But it does make this piece very unique. As for the specifications on this watch, the case at its widest is 36 millimeters. The lug to lug is 42 millimeters. The case height is 10 millimeters. The lug width is 18 millimeters. I believe the case is actually steel. I don't think it's a base metal that's been coated, but I could be wrong. The crystal, of course, is acrylic, and I have no idea what movement is in this yet. At some point, I'll be doing a deep dive on this watch and see how much information I can track down on it. Alright, let me take off the Nomos Orion and show you what it's like to wear this on the wrist. Here is the Olympos on my 17.78 centimeter wrist, or 7 inches. And just look at that thing. Oh, that is so gorgeous. Look at how it hugs the wrist. And one super interesting thing about this that I had no idea until I put it on and looked down at it is look at it from the angle that you most often see this watch at. It actually looks like it has a tonneau-shaped case. It looks an awful lot like my Timex Q from my perspective looking down at my wrist. So crazy. With such a wild case shape, you would think that it would look crazier than it does. It's actually pretty subtle when it's on the wrist. It just looks like a vintage dress watch to me when I glance down. This watch is just absolutely brilliant. Can't believe that I won it. So amazing. Yeah, Olympos watches are just awesome. So there you have it, a vintage Olympos mystery dial watch that's actually pretty unique with that irritating text on the dial. And this is one of my 2 favorite watches in my collection right now. This and the Pull Router. Strangely, they both have kind of similar aesthetics. I am not weird at all. Thanks for watching.